It is TexAgs Rewind presented by T-Mobile, and they want to remind you guys to visit T-Mobile.com/across-America to learn how you can get more value and coverage through T-Mobile. All right, it's Wednesday, I think, and we had a lot to talk about here on TexAgs Rewind, or on the TexAgs radio show, I should say. We had the Go Hour. Not only did Olin tell us about his great times there in Las Vegas, but we had to break down that A&M men's basketball game versus Georgia. They did win a game. They looked very good in that one, so we broke it down. Chris Landry talked about the NFL Combine on the show that he helped originate years back, and where DeMarvin Leal was kind of sitting in all of that. Bronny came by for recruiting country, going through the rise to number one. That was a fun conversation. And Gary Blair came in to talk about his final home game as the head coach of the A&M women's basketball team.
Did you see what they were doing in the half court last night?
Well, they drove to the rim a lot more.
But when they got to the half court, not all the time, but very often, they just gave the ball to Quentin Jackson at the top of the circle. And Quentin, everything was going through Quentin. And he started, he's so quick, he's driving and getting layups, which is one of the reasons they only missed 4 layups, because he was spectacular. And then Georgia had to collapse on him, and he's kicking it out. Quentin Jackson, he was just such a catalyst last night in so many ways.
Let's look at those numbers right there. Quentin Jackson, 31 points, 4 of 6, 6 steals, 11 of 11, and his threes were 3
He
for
missed
3.
one free throw. He was like 5 of 6 or 7 of 8, something like that. So he missed one shot all night. It was a free throw.
And he has been in a pretty nice hot streak. He's been the leading scorer for most of this year, but over the last couple of weeks, he has really been leading the charge.
Yeah. Back-to-back games over 20 points.
Here you go. His last 3 games, 23 points a game, 2.6 rebounds, 62% from the field, free throw percentage 92.6. He has scored double digits in 10 consecutive games.
Yeah. I remember he had that game, what was it, Missouri, where he missed the front end of a 1-and-1 where they had a chance to tie.
Yeah.
And I remember Buzz Williams saying, look, if we're having a contest of free throws, he's the first guy picked. So, he's the guy you'd want up there. And so it's just a bad luck. But that kind of proves 92.6% at the foul line through 3 games.
For a team that had games shooting less than 50%, for a team that has been that bad from the free throw line for an early stretch. And look, they have a lot of other issues too. But that, hitting 92% of your free throws in this last little, was it a 10-game stretch? For a guy who gets to the rim and gets fouled, that's how you're going to get your buckets.
Did you see his assist to Henry Coleman just before the half?
Yes.
That was ESPN top 10 material, I thought.
Well, and Henry Coleman bouncing back too. Another name that look, I'm not reading way too much into this game, but it's nice to know that that style still causes fits for teams, and they did it to Florida. And Florida, you saw what they did a couple days ago. Mm-hmm. And now Georgia, the lowest end of the SEC. But it doesn't matter. Get some victories. Feel good to go into the offseason.
The football season has been over for a while. But you haven't watched the scouts who scout A&M, who've got that area, have made a scouting visit. But it's not to the end of the NFL season that the position coaches and the coordinators in the league will begin to evaluate those guys. And it takes well into March to get through all the tape of all the players. So there are going to be players whose grade are going to be adjusted, not because anything's happened since December to now, other than you got more exposure. And looked at all the tape yet. Myself, who, looks at tape all day, every day, it takes me a long time to get through all of that. I haven't looked through every tape of every one of these prospects. It's as I like to say, David, during the season, looking at tape is like running on a treadmill. You're running, but you're not going anywhere because there's always games, right? But once the games are over, then you can kind of make up ground on all the tapes. But yeah, it's one of those things. It irritates me because it gives the impression that, Leal's done something wrong or whatever. When the reality is, and you're going to hear this, well, he's moving up and down the board. No, he's not. It's just like these recruiting sites will use, this player's moving up or down. They're moving up or down because of the latest information that they get. A&M, Alabama's recruiting him. Well, he's now a 5-star. He's, if Tulsa's recruiting him, he's a 3-star. I mean, that's just how these are not evaluators. These are information gatherers. Well, in this draft process, these guys just throw out a lot of generic stuff. Well, we got to have a mock, draft and, August before the senior year. And it's never the same. It never is, because what needs to be determined to set your draft board in real draft boards in the world that I live in, that's not done yet. Nobody in the league has a draft board. So there's nobody that could possibly move up or move down a draft board that hadn't been set yet.
All right, I want to ask you about Ruben Owens. I know we talked about him last week, but something that caught my eye in your most recent report was that I think I read that Jimbo is a little bit more involved in the conversation.
Yeah, we had been hearing that Jimbo was going to be more involved, and I talked to Ruben on Sunday, and he told me that. He said Jimbo has gotten more involved in my recruitment in the day-to-day aspects of it. Jimbo was always involved to a certain extent with Ruben because he's a 5-star number 1 running back in the country kind of player, but Jimbo's getting more involved in the day-to-day role. And that's not to try to diminish Tommy Robinson or the job that Tommy Robinson has done in the past. It's just Jimbo will pick his guys, and they may be as numerous as 5 or 6. Sometimes it's just a couple in each class that he's going to be a part of their kind of ins and outs, ebbs and flows of the recruitment, instead of, just kind of being the head man that's on the phone call, every other week, or he's on the Zoom call with them after, big events or something like that. So he's taking more of a position coach's role with Ruben Owens, and I think that's really important for A&M. And it also gives you an idea of the priority that they've put on him in the 2023 class. And that's a class where if you get Ruben, could you go and take a second running back? They did that with LJ Johnson and Amari Daniels. They didn't do that. Is that kind of the plan where they go 2, 1, 2 in consecutive classes? We'll see. It kind of all depends on the development of Amari and LJ on campus. And then, obviously the development of Le'Veon Moss once he gets here. Do you need a 5th scholarship running back on your roster? I guess that would be in the fall of 2023. So something to keep an eye on. But Ruben is without a doubt their number 1 target at running back. I know there's Caleb Jackson, kid out of Baton Rouge, is another one they're really interested in. But right now, there's no question that A&M's got their eyes set on Ruben Owens, but so does everybody else in the country. And it's too early to try to decipher which way he's leaning. And if he was leaning one way, it wouldn't even matter right now. He's not close to making a decision.
Is it one of those that it could come all the way down to November, December kind of feel?
Yeah, I don't think that he's got a set date to make an announcement. I could see it playing out all the way through the end of the season, but who knows, man? Like, if he gets really comfortable, maybe by the end of the summer or early fall, he makes a decision. I don't think, in talking to Ruben, that he's got a set date.
All right. And tell us some other examples of Jimbo getting involved in the past year or two. So we can
Connor Wigman, Jalen Jones, DeMarvin Leal, Isaiah Spiller.
Some heavy hitters is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's usually the guys at the top of the class. He got really involved with Devon A-Chain late, Damon Demas. So, like, all these guys, Jimbo was playing a really big role in Bryce Foster. So, if I looked at the list, if you gave me the list of the last 3 classes, I say, yeah, Jimbo, that kind of thing. It's usually about 4 or 5 a class. I could see him getting really involved with Anthony Hill, linebacker at Denton Ryan, in the 2023 class, just because, I mean, Ruben's really important. But Anthony Hill may be the most important because of the position that he plays and the kind of player that he is.
Boy, we picked a doozy to play on my last home game, but guess what? This is what the country wanted last year. When they saw us play for the championships, number 1 and 2, play in South Carolina and Texas A&M, people said this was great. It was a great ball game last year that we sort of led from start to finish. But then at the same time, they wanted it again. They said, let's go to Rocky II. Okay, well, Rocky II is South Carolina and us. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you're the movie buff as well as I am. Who won in Rocky 2?
Rocky.
Well, I'm Rocky.
There you go. Well, Gary, if we look at the Rocky analogy and look at the first game that you played against South Carolina this year, you guys played excellent in that first half. What did you learn from that first half that you can apply here at Reed Arena?
Well, we learned first to play in front of a huge crowd, like South Carolina's led the nation ever since 2015 in attendance, and give Dawn Staley credit for not just building a team, but building a fan base and giving the rest of us a blueprint to build on. Butts in seats without giveaways. And that's what she's done. We have always played South Carolina well, sometimes not for the whole 40 minutes, and Coach Staley would say the same on her end. We've had some tremendous close games. This is very similar to when we were in the Big 12 playing Baylor, okay? You respect the opponent. You expect her national championship that she won in 2017. You respect she was our Olympic coach. You respect the honor of the game about playing number one. So when you're the home team and you're getting a chance to be in Reed Arena, you should be the favorite. You honor, even though they have more wins, they have more talent, they have an Olympic coach, but when you're in Reed Arena, the Aggies make the difference. The Aggies pick you up. The Aggies realize they're 6'4", they're 6'7". What are we going to do? We've got to rotate post players in there. We've got to have great guard play. We've got to shoot the ball. And I've got to make the right calls from the bench.
All right, my friendly friends, thank you so much for watching the TexAgs Rewind presented by T-Mobile. Want you guys to like, subscribe, comment, share, all the good stuff here, and we'll see you guys next time.